Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to class. So you guys know that we have been covering a unit on the matter and how matter can change both chemically and physically. So you guys know there's one thing on this planet you can guarantee is going to happen, and that's things are going to change. And so we've been covering this unit. Today, the activity that I have for you guys is an informational text. So everybody loves to read stories, but when you start handing out heavy informational text, science textbooks, the kids, oh, nobody wants to read the science textbook. But you guys, there are ways to tackle that. It's not overwhelming if you have good strategies. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to teach you guys a strategy for how to tackle the text. So I have a question for you guys. So Owen, if your dad comes in one day and out of randomly he looks at you and he goes, Owen, I need you to get out in the yard and take care of that problem. What's your first question going to be? What problem? Right. So it would be a whole lot easier for you to go outside and take care of the problem if you know what the problem was, right? Otherwise, you're just out there lost and it's frustrating. And if he gets frustrated with you because you didn't do it right, but you didn't even know what it was. So it's really important when you're reading the same thing. If I'm going to hand you an informational text, the problem is, you guys, you don't know what I want you to do with it. You don't know what the purpose of the text is, what we're really trying to find out. And if I'm going to say, look, at the end of this, I'm going to give you a grade, and I hand you all out the paper. Well, if you don't even know what you're supposed to do, that can be very frustrating. So I want to point you guys to the fact that if you know the purpose of reading before you go into a text, it alleviates your stress. It guarantees your grade's going to be better. Everything gets better if you go into the text, especially a heavy text that's like informational science text, if you know what in the world you're trying to accomplish. So I want to show you how important that is before we get started. So I'm going to hand you guys each a little piece of reading, and I'm going to let you take a second, and I want you to read it. But I don't want you to flip it over because I have something typed on the bottom of it, but I don't want you to open it. So everybody look at your text. You can use your pencil, and I want you to quickly read it and mark it for what you think is the purpose. So mark it for what you think you're looking for. And I didn't tell you what you're looking for. So everybody go ahead and take your pencil, and I want you to underline the important facts in the text. So I'll give you a second. So anything you think is valuable information. Okay. If you're done, tap your desk. Okay. So I want you guys to, now that you think you got a grasp on this text, right? So flip it over and without looking back, answer the question on the other side. Hannah, read the question loud. What is the question?
How many commas are in this portion of text?
How many commas are in the portion of the text? 6. Nice try. No, so the bottom line is there's no way to answer that question. Had I shown you the essential question first and then let you read it, don't you think everybody here would have made an A on this test if this was a quiz? Everybody would have gotten it right. So it's really important to know your essential question first. So with that being said, let me introduce you guys to the essential questions that you're going to be, it was 5, was he wrong? Here you go. So these are the essential questions that you're going to be actually using on the text. So what we're going to do, guys, before we actually look at the text, I want you guys to look at these questions critically. So what we're going to do is underline. I want you guys to underline what we would consider the most important words, and I'm going to help you through that, and I'm sure you guys will get it right too. So for number 1, the question is, what is chemical change? So the main idea is chemical change, so underline chemical change for me. And at the same time, you have to know how to think about it. And so I want you to circle what is. So you guys, if we're gonna ask a question, what is, so let's talk about the way you need to think to answer that question. If I'm asking you what is something, what am I asking to do, really?
Define it.
Define. You're gonna define it, so that's a good thought. How about something else? Is there, if I have no idea what you're talking about and you're trying to define it, what's the next thing you're gonna do to me, for me? Explain is a good word. How about describe? So any of those things. So all of those things, to explain, describe, or define, is what you're going to be looking for on the text for chemical change. Everybody good? All right, let's go to question number 2. So question number 2, how are chemical changes different from physical changes? So I want you to underline chemical changes and physical changes. But the way you're going to think is going to be different from. So circle different from. That's what we're going to try to find. So we're going to differentiate between those two things, find differences. Everybody good? All right, go to question number 3. So what happens to mass during a chemical change? So I need you guys to underline mass during a chemical change. So we're going to be looking for mass. Does anybody know what mass is? Your body mass?
Structure.
Structure?
Like the amount in it, like the amount in the object?
Yeah.
That's correct. The amount in grams that's inside of you, or we're talking atoms actually. How many atoms that it takes to make you up, and it's measured in grams. So we're going to be looking for the mass, and then I'd like you guys to circle what happens to. So my thought process and the way you guys need to be thinking is something obviously happens to the mass in chemical change, or we wouldn't have that question. So we need to know what is going to happen to the mass. So you guys good? All right. 2, here we go. I'll let you guys get started with the text. This is the actual text that you're going to be using. So the object of the game, you guys, is for you guys to be able to work independently. So to get started, though, I'm going to model with you. I'm going to work with you. So anybody want to volunteer to read the first paragraph?
I'll do it.
Okay, awesome. So again, what's our first question that we're looking for?
What is
What
chemical
is the
change?
chemical change?
What is chemical change? So that's your essential question, and knowing that ahead of time gives you a purpose for reading. You're not just fumbling through it. Owen's not just out in the yard trying to fix some problem. He knows exactly what he's working on. So let's go for it. So Hannah, if you'll start reading.
Some changes in matter involve more than just changing physical properties. For example, when a match is lit, the match burns and ash and smoke are produced. A chemical change is a change in matter in which the substances that make up the matter change into substances with different chemical and physical properties.
Okay, so does everybody agree we found our answer? Okay, so I'm going to let you guys go ahead and underline it. You know what you're looking for. All right, so in a textbook, you guys know that this is informational. They're not randomly putting this in here. These textbooks are designed to follow the curriculum, and so the essential question would obviously indicate what you really need to be successful in this unit. So you're going to record this information also in your folders. So if you guys can take and you're welcome to talk to each other and agree on what you think you want to record in your folder, because I'll promise you you're going to see this on a quiz. I'm giving you a heads up. This question will be on your quiz. So if you guys will record that information in your folder using the chemical change, using the essential question. So go ahead and write it in your folder. What you think you want to pass the quiz question. So you guys keep working. I'm going to ask a question. Anybody can answer. What happens if you read the essential question and you get into the text and you obviously see a clue like that it's in this area in the text, but you can't find your answer, what is the obvious thing that you do? What would you do if you can't